It is an omen of even worse to come, an airstrike on Gaza City, or rather its remains, pounded for month after month, yet still home to perhaps 1 million people. The Israeli government now wants its army to take these battered streets.
It's difficult to imagine that the situation could be worse. It's so appalling already that it's beyond imagination to think that it could be even worse, but it will.
Yet Israel insists to defeat Hamas, it must control a city that teems with those displaced by war, who might then be forced to move again to a so-called safe zone in the south, where aid drops fail to meet existing need. 2 million starving people could be crammed into 10% of the land, where desperate souls already fight for survival. We have frozen these images before the balcony collapses, crushing those below. It is an escalation too far, even for many Israelis. The plan agreed overnight by Israel's Security Cabinet comes against a backdrop of protests. The head of Israel's military is among those warning the operation could endanger the lives of the 20 or so hostages still captive.
We know this decision is going to cause a lot of unwanted death of more soldiers and hostages. Take this down. Stop it now.
At the UN, the Palestinian envoy called for concerted international action.
I hope that we collectively would succeed in avoiding such a crazy, irresponsible, dangerous, vicious plans.
One of Israel's staunchest allies, Germany, has halted arms exports in protest. Here, Sir Keir Starmer begged the Israeli government to reconsider. This action will do nothing to bring an end to this conflict or to help secure the release of hostages, he said. It will only bring more bloodshed. But tonight, Israel's defense minister said criticism would not weaken their resolve to defeat what he called the monsters of Hamas. The fate of Gaza City and its people seems sealed. John Rain, News at 10.
So what does this all mean for the future? The latest mapping from the United Nations shows almost all of Gaza already under some form of Israeli military order. Under this new plan, the whole of Gaza City would also be taken over in what is seen as a move to ultimately control the entire Gaza Strip. It is home to more than 2 million people, the vast majority now displaced by a conflict that has already claimed 61,000 Palestinian lives, according to the Hamas-run health ministry. Well, ending that conflict is the stated common goal for both the US and the UK, though there are disagreements on how to go about it. So said the US Vice President J.D. Vance as he sat down with David Lammy at the Foreign Secretary's Grace and Favour retreat Chevening. Well, Shihab is here to talk to us about that interesting meeting. And Shihab, we're told that the pair actually get on quite well, although that seems sometimes difficult to imagine, but definitely a deep divide over the approach to Gaza. And we saw that today, didn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. As you sort of mentioned, the broad goal here for both sides is the same. It is to try and avert this humanitarian disaster as it's unfolding. It's to try and get the hostages released. It's to try and stop the war and get a ceasefire. But there is a disagreement on how to get there. The United Kingdom has been very critical of Israel in recent weeks and months. There's been a suspension of some arms sales. There's been the suggestion that the UK could recognise Palestine as a state next month if certain conditions are not met. The US has not gone down that path, and ultimately the United States is the power broker here. They are the most powerful nation and most influential in this situation, but there are disagreements. And J.D. Vance, the Vice President, wasn't afraid to talk about those today.
Obviously, the United Kingdom is going to make its decision. We have no plans to recognize a Palestinian state. I don't know what it would mean to really recognize a Palestinian state, given the lack of a functional government there. You know, what the president has made very clear is our two goals are very simple right now vis-a-vis the situation in Israel and Gaza. Number one, it's We want to make it so that Hamas cannot attack innocent Israeli civilians ever again, and we think that has to come through the eradication of Hamas. Second, the president has been very moved by these terrible images of the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, so we want to make sure that we solve that problem.
That was the slightly politer way of publicly disagreeing, and not something we've always seen with the Vice President there. What we do have is the Foreign Secretary now spending what is supposed to be a holiday for the Vice President with him. There's been shots of them fishing together. It's an opportunity for some soft diplomacy, a chance for the Foreign Secretary to potentially try and sway the Vice President, but ultimately it'll be up to the man in the White House, Donald Trump, on whether or not he wants to change his mind on this.
All right. Fascinating, Shihab. Thank you very much indeed.